Mauler, Mauler, goes where others fear to go. The incredible Mauler, rise for G.I. Joe.
The HSTV-L, or High Survivability Test Vehicle Lightweight, what G.I. Joe has dubbed the Mauler. This was a real and interesting armored vehicle prototype and light gun system testbed. Like many real-world military vehicles, this tank inspired a cartoon counterpart and toy in the G.I. Joe collection. G.I. Joe was famous for this. Take the Dragonfly copter, for example. This was directly inspired by the Bell Cobra. But what was the HSTV-L in the real world? While it was an interesting test vehicle and gun system, it was developed in the 1970s, a joint venture between the U.S. Army and Marine Corps, who were exploring future concepts for armored fighting vehicles. They were looking for a frontline tank with good firepower, but one that relied on small size and maneuverability to survive, rather than thick armor. It was believed small might be the future of the tank, as armor was not keeping up with advancements in munitions, and future survivability of tanks might come down to their ability to simply not be hit, rather than to take a hit. The design and testing program was called the Advanced Anti-Armor Vehicle Evaluation. The HSTV-L was one of several designs, with only one HSTV-L produced. One product of the Advanced Anti-Armor Vehicle Evaluation was a gun system known as the overhead gun. Instead of a traditional turret, a remote control turret was used, which allowed the gun to elevate and fire while the tank was completely under cover. This overhead gun system would end up mounting the same gun as the HSTV-L, an auto-loading Ares 75mm smoothbore rapid-fire hypervelocity gun, later designated as the XM274. The concept for the gun was though that it wasn't a large caliber anti-tank gun, it could burst fire rounds at a target in order to break down composite armor. The HIMAG, developed under the same program, used the same auto-loading gun and mounted it on a lightweight turret, with the gunner and commander sitting underneath. The gun had many interesting features. The ammunition was telescoped, meaning that the projectile was almost fully embedded into the propellant. The gun also used a revolving breech mechanism. There was a well in the chassis, so the breech could depress into it, allowing the gun to elevate 40 degrees. This allowed the gun, with its high rate of fire, to also be used in the anti-aircraft role. Tests indicated that though the first round from the gun was highly accurate, accuracy fell off to a level that would not allow burst fire to wear down a single spot on enemy armor. The HSTV-L had better frontal armor and mounted the gun in a low-profile cleft turret. The turret could rotate a full 360 degrees at a speed of 57 degrees per second. The gun could elevate an impressive 45 degrees. The HSTV-L was given a new CO2 laser rangefinder and hunter-killer sights. Made mostly of aluminum with applique armor, it weighed less than 20 metric tons. The tank was powered by a 650 horsepower gas turbine engine. The vehicle was crewed by three, a driver, gunner, and commander. The driver and gunner were both capable of driving and shooting, while the commander could only shoot. The driver and gunner had a screen displaying the imaging of the hunter sight, which allowed them to operate independently of the vehicle commander, if necessary. Theoretically, the HSTV-L could be controlled entirely by one crew member from either the driver or gunner's position. The HSTV-L's fire control system was advanced, featuring a rate-aided auto-track mode that used forward-looking infrared imaging to track both armored and airborne targets. It was believed that the 80-degree angle of the front plate of the HSTV-L, in conjunction with the applique armor, would allow it to survive a 115mm round from a Soviet T-62. Survivability would more likely come from its low profile and quick acceleration to get into and out of combat. The power-to-weight ratio was 32.6 horsepower per ton. Top speed on the road was 52 miles per hour, or 83.7 kilometers an hour. In the early 1980s, the US had determined that the Ares cannon would be ineffective against newer Soviet tanks, and decided that a 105mm gun was the minimum caliber to be used in the anti-tank role. This ended the collaborative project in 1981.
G.I. Joe!
Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching this video on the Mauler. The HSTV-L, or the High Survivability Test Vehicle Light. Mauler's a way cooler name. Anyway, take care and have a nice rest of your day.